Hello. Today we will be looking at the subreddit r/IDontWorkHereLady, and I have a feeling you are going to love this one. How an entitled principal abducted my niece since he thought she was skipping class. First, a little explanation. Here in Germany we have Bundesländer, kinda like the states in the US, but way less independent. Since the school system is up to the BL, they often started their summer vacations at different times. The biggest reason being chaos on the highway system. If everybody would want to drive to summer vacation on the same day. Also, this is not a recent story, but quite a few years ago. My niece is from Bavaria, I'm from Baden-Württemberg. Her summer vacation started a whole week earlier than ours, and she came for a visit with my brother and her siblings. It was like in the morning and we decided to take Doggo for a walk and go to the bakery on the other side of the street of a big school complex. I went in, she stayed outside with Doggo, Ia came back out, and she was gone. Let us introduce our protagonists. Pages. Principal Percent. Me. Take a guess. N. Niece. I decided to call her on the cell phone, and this was the talk. N. Thank God you are calling. Pages. Screaming in the background. How dare you take a phone call while I'm talking to you? You are in enough trouble for skipping class. As I later found out, he ripped the phone out of her hand and must have hung up. I realized what must have happened and went into the school to clear up this misunderstanding and go right away to the principal's office, hoping she would either be there or soon be brought by a teacher. Outside, I already hear him screaming at her. Pages. Stop giving me a fake name and stop lying. You won't get out of here until I have the truth. And I promise you this will be mentioned in your school certificate. We have grades for general behavior here, and teachers can also write a comment in there. It is something employers care about if you look for an apprenticeship, for example. I did not bother knocking and went right in. Pages. Who are you? And how dare you just come in here without knocking? Me. I'm this girl's uncle. What the hell do you think you are doing here? She does not go to your school. Pages. I guess you were the one on the phone. Nice try, but you will not help her trick her way out of this. I will get to the bottom of this, and I will only release her to her parents. Now get out of my office or I will call the police and have you arrested for trespassing in a school. School are protected places, so you get in way more trouble here for trespassing than usual. Me. I will stay right here to protect my niece from your crazy ass, and calling the cops sounds like a really good idea. After all, you have abducted my niece. So I did the call and just told the police that my niece got abducted and to come to the principal's office ASAP. Pages. Do you really expect me to believe your fake phone call? Her until the police is here. That he started to shout at my niece again, who was in tears by now. Me. Stop effing shouting at my niece. You will not address her till the police is here, or I will shut you up. Pages. That is it. I'm calling the police now to have you arrested and finally find out her real name. So he called the police, only to find out I actually did call the police. Suddenly he was not so sure anymore, and you could tell the cogs in his head were finally start to turn. About 5 minutes later the police finally arrived, and they asked us separately. Here is roughly what my niece told the cops. She was waiting outside the bakery when Pages came unto her like Abbott from hell. He screamed at her that he is really fed up with people skipping school the last week before vacation starts and will make an example out of her. Before she could get a word in edgewise, he grabbed her by the arm really hard enough she got a bad bruise for over a week, and that is what started to get him into real trouble. The cops also took her data and confirmed she is from Bavaria. They then asked us if we want to press charges, and I just said throw the book at him. Pages heard the police saying press charges and suddenly realized he was in real deep shit, so he came over. Pages. Hey, this is just a misunderstanding. You have to understand I have to be strict with people skipping school. Me. If by being strict you mean assaulting a 12-year-old so badly she has a handprint from you on her arm, that will create a huge bruise, abducting her from my care, and wrongfully imprisoned her in your office while screaming at her and scaring the bejesus out of her, then no, I do not have to understand that. Pages. Please, you are completely blowing this out of proportion. I could get suspended without pay over this and even lose my job. Me. But anybody who treats a scared 12-year-old girl like that should never again get to work with kids. In the end he really did lose his job, and I'm very glad he did. During the investigation it turned out he was a sorry excuse for a teacher who belittled kids, who always took the teacher's side, no matter how wrong they were, and even had slapped kids on several occasions. He went to court for assault and attempted abduction plus wrongful imprisonment, plus a few more bodily harms against students. He lost job and pension, got 2 years on probation and 500 hours of community service with the stipulation it could be nothing that involved kids. He was also forbidden to ever work with kids again. I'm not a doctor, but I was an amateur gynecologist in high school. TLDR, take 730 aspirin and call me next year. You're calling the wrong number. We owned a 24/7 business and I often worked overnights. I was also the emergency on-call person. On nights I didn't work, sleep was worth more than gold. I had, and still have, the most fed up sleep patterns, and catch extra ZZZZZZZs whenever I can. I sleep very sound and deep. In fact, about the only thing that wakes me is my alarm and my phone ringing. This was a great skill to have when my kids were younger, as I often had to sleep when they were up and active. Cue my problem and temper. I would get calls from a doctor's answering service asking for the doctor. When the calls first started, I would tell them I wasn't the doctor. More than once I got a return call almost immediately from the same person, who told me that this is the doctor's home number. No, it's not. It's my number. Okay, I'll page him. After the first couple months, I started telling the service to tell the people to take 730 aspirin and call back next year. They then knew I wasn't the doctor and we'd have the annoying "you called the wrong number again" talk. Now, the more they called the more outrageous my cures got. FYI, masturbation and self-intercourse cures most illnesses, as per me. After almost 3 years of this annoying crap, I got a true emergency call from them that the doctor had to call because one of his patients came in suffering a heart attack. He was taking meds and other issues and they needed to confer with him about the appointment he had with the patient the day before. I hung up and called the myself. I got the doctor that needed to talk to the real doctor on the phone and told him I'm not the doctor and have had his answering service calling me about 3 years. I have told them numerous times, but they never fixed the problem. This is the first life-threatening emergency they called with, and I thought the best way to handle it was to call him and let him see if the hospital knew how to really get in contact with their colleague. I told him I understood this was a matter of life and death and I would not take any more of his time. I ended by giving him my number so he could compare it to the correct number to possibly check where the problem occurred, so it did not happen again. All this took less than a minute as I started the conversation with, "Please just listen." The doctor I was getting calls for was a PCP, primary care physician, a family doctor, not a cardiologist or brain surgeon. The calls I was getting for him were things like "Little Johnny has a fever of 100.1. What should we do? Can you refill my meds?" Things like that. I know I struck a nerve with the doctor because I never got another call from the doctor's answering service again. I hope the guy that had a heart attack is okay, and I thank for getting my situation fixed. Nope, I don't work here anymore. So, this may be a bit long. That's just because of the backstory involved. In 2017 I worked at Walmart in the automotive repair part as a technician. Basically, my job was to do oil changes and tire rotations, the most boring and menial of tasks for someone who had gone to school to be a mechanic, but I digress. I got let go in November of 2017, another story for another day, and have since gone on to work at another retail store and a gas station just down the road from me. Now, the retail store's uniform is all black. The gas station has a black polo with a store logo and khaki/tan pants, whereas Walmart employees have blue shirts, khaki pants, and, often, vests or distinct uniforms, if in the auto shop, plus work glasses. Now that I've given the uniform information and my minor backstory, onto the Nightmare Karen cast, me, former manager, henceforth known as German Karen. I went into Walmart the other day to get new shoes, as mine had finally bit the dust and needed replaced, so I could work in comfort. I found the shoes I wanted/needed easily, size 13, 4E, ACA 13 extra wide, and proceeded to check out. I was in my gas station uniform as I'd just gotten off work, but I also had on this black and grey flannel my sisters got me for Christmas last year, and I love it. I also had my earbuds in so I could tune out my former coworkers and managers. As I walked I could hear some noise through my earbuds, but I ignored it until I felt the signature pain of one being yanked out of my ear, which prompted a not too polite response. Me, what the actual F? You do not pull someone's earbuds out like that. The F do you want? Karen, a 50-ish woman with that Karen hairdo, cheap sunglasses and a very ugly green shirt. That is no way to talk to a customer. Now, tell me where I can find colored pencils for my son for school. Me, F off. I don't work here, and even if I did I wouldn't want to help you. Karen, unamused. You will show me where they are, and when we are done I want to talk to your manager. Me, realizing this won't end until she gets what she wants. Fine, I'll show you where they are. I had seen Jim in that aisle beforehand, and I knew he'd deal with her before I blew a gasket at this miserable bitch. So, I lead Karen right to the aisle, and, thankfully, Jim is still there talking to a trainee. For clarification, Jim is a 6 feet 1 inch, 400-ish pound black gentleman who is fair to his employees and to customers when they're fair with him. Karen, thank you. Now go get me your manager so I can complain. Jim, turning having hearing this. What can I do for you? Karen, smirking. Perfect. This employee was listening to music on the job and being rude to me. Me, rolling my eyes. No, I was shopping for my new job and she came up behind me and yanked an earbud out and screamed at me unfairly. Jim looks at me and chuckles. Ma'am, he doesn't work here. Hasn't since right before Thanksgiving. Karen, furious. Bullshit. I know he works here. Go get me your store manager so I can get you and him fired. This is the time I'd like to point out. Jim is the store manager. Well, one of the two, and both were on duty that day, but the other one was on his lunch break. Jim, ma'am, I'm the store manager. He doesn't work here. I was here when we let him go. I signed his paperwork and shook his hand while he was respectful to me. He's a respectful young man, and if anything he reacted like that because you were rude to him. Now, you can either keep your mouth shut and apologize to both of us, or you can leave the store and never come back. Your choice. Karen does not like this and snaps, going to take a swing at Jim, who took the punch with the grace of a saint. Karen turned to me, seeing my phone in my hand. What do you think you're doing? Me, getting a picture for the police when they get here. At that moment the 911 dispatcher I had on speaker spoke up, and Karen went white. Me, oh, and I caught the video of you hitting Jim in the face because you didn't get your way. I'll gladly give it to the cops when they get you in cuffs. Already long story short, Karen was arrested and Jim charged her with assault. I got my shoes and the police took my video as evidence. Karen has been banned from that store and, aside from a bit of a mark, Jim is fine and laughed about it while I paid for my shoes. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I have several stories from my time at Walmart that I may share another time. Have a wonderful day. Edit. For clarification, thanks to my sleep-deprived brain being stupid when I posted this, I took the video when she first raised her voice at Jim, and I stopped it right after she sucker punched him and proceeded to call 911 via speed dial. She was screaming other things that I don't really remember, but I do remember he ignored me while I relayed the incident to the dispatcher. Sorry for confusing anyone. Thank you for watching. Be sure to leave a comment and let me know which subreddit you will like to see a video about. And please subscribe.